Welcome to Truth Uncompromised. I am your host, Rhonda. Join us every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Truth is peace. Truth is justice and freedom to love, live, and be. Music provided by SourceVibrations.com. All right, family. Welcome to the Truth Uncompromised show. I am your host, Rhonda, and tonight is Thursday, March 23rd. We have a great show planned for you tonight. Sending a shout out to my girl, Jill Scott. That is really my girl. I urge the family, if you have never seen her live in concert, that's a show you want to check out. I actually saw her live. And those of you from the ATL know this particular amphitheater is outdoors, Chastain Park. And she had the Atlanta Symphony behind her. And that sister, oh my God, she really, really threw down. So a great, great live performer. So shout out to my sister, Jill Scott. Okay, family, so we have a great show planned for you tonight. We're going to get a little bit into the news. We're not going to go too deep because I want to make sure we get into our topic tonight, which is we are at spiritual warfare. So we're going to go into what does spiritual warfare mean, and then we're also going to go into the different ways that spiritual warfare is occurring as we speak, and also discuss how each individual, we play a part in that. Okay, so with that said, I am going to bring on Brother Wendell. I see my brother there. Let me bring him in. Here we go. Hey, Brother Wendell, how you doing?
Oh, man, I feel like a sack of taters. You hear what I'm saying?
I got potatoes. What's going on with you?
It's all good. It's all good.
Okay, good. We're gonna Brother Sean, I think you're on. Just hit me up when you're ready to come in. You know, I don't want to bring you on until you're ready. So just hit me up, brother, when you're ready to come on. Okay, Brother Wendell. So now you know what we got to start with tonight on the news, right?
What's going down?
Now you know Lucifer Spawn died this week, right?
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. He died, when did that man die? Or that lizard or whatever the hell he is. It was heart transplanting organ, melanated organ filling goddamn devil. Yeah, he died earlier this week. Now, here's the thing though. Why it was reported more overseas than it was here, because I first saw it. Somebody had posted it on Facebook. I can't remember. No, I take that back. It came across my feed off of the Russian news paper Sputnik, and so I'm like, what? So then I jumped on RT News, and RT News had it, but of course, CNN didn't have it. So I know eventually they stank asses did report it, but it wasn't a big thing. But RT News, boy, they cracked me the hell up. Why they had a picture of Slick Willie and Hitlery at his little services. So, they were going to pay tribute to their sugar daddy, basically. You know when he passed his first day of spring. I'm like, goddamn things. So, I found that interesting from a spiritual perspective because, the first day of spring is really when our ancestors traditionally, that's when our New Year started.
Yeah.
So I'm like, good. So apparently it's cleanup time. So I thought that was pretty symbolic that his ass kicked the bucket, or they even if he kicked the bucket before and they just, for whatever reason, announced it on the first day of spring. But to me, that was a clear sign of new beginning. So good motherfucking riddance, and I think it's cleanup time. Mama's getting ready to clean house. So these entities are not going to be able to survive. The energy has shifted, and it's continuously shifting, and it's just getting higher and higher. From a vibrational standpoint, so these low-level entities will not be able to survive. So that's huge for his ass to have kicked the bucket. So good riddance, shit. All right. So the next thing on the list is real quick. It's not a big thing, but I kind of cracked up. I think Sis Cheryl posted this, but Trump card was at a little press conference, and he made a mistake and called the U.S. a company. Now, some people say it was a slip of the tongue because he's a CEO and he's used to running companies. That very well could be. But me personally, I think he goddamn meant it. I agree with you.
He meant that. See, let me tell you what Trump is figuring. He already know this. Trump knows that he can not continue to straddle the fence. Because I know this from personal experience. When we were growing up, we used to get on our 10 speeds and go out there and pop a wheelie for a quarter of a mile or a mile or whatnot. But every now and then, that foot would slip and we'd bust on balls. You see, that's what he got. You feel what I'm saying?
Ooh.
Trump,
across there.
Yeah. See, he knows if he keeps straddling the fence, he's going to bust them balls, and it ain't going to be funny. So he meant exactly what he said.
Yeah, so I found that funny. I think he meant what he said because Trump card has also been talking in code. Every time he mentioned his taxes, he pretty much tell them it ain't none of they MFing business. Because he really don't pay taxes because he deals in trust. And he tells us that all of his stuff is tied up in trust. So he's literally kind of putting it out there that that's the way really we're all supposed to be operating. So I personally don't feel it was a slip of the tongue. I felt he meant exactly what he said, just like when Kerry was running. Kerry said that corporations are people. And those that kind of deal behind the scenes and kind of studied how they really have stuff set up and everything is put into trust knew exactly what he was talking about. And as a matter of fact, Kerry argued the person up and down. So, yeah, I agree with you that wasn't a slip. It wasn't a slip at all.
Yeah, and on that corporations are people thing, they were telling the truth about that. But the distinction between an artificial person / corporation is that corporation don't have natural rights.
Right. So, those of us that study that stuff, we were like, oh, snap. when he said it, we knew exactly what he was talking about. Because if you research it, and it don't take a lot of research to do it, you see where they wrote in there that corporations are persons, and it's all just slick lawyer language, because really the whole system, the whole corporation, because the U.S. is a corporation. Bottom line, you could go, and I've said this many times, do a quick search on Duns and Bradstreet, and you could see every government agency is listed as a business. Every city is listed as a business. Every municipality, every county is listed as a business. Yes, sir.
I have a book that's got from the United States Corporation. Every state and every major city in the state got their DUNS number.
Ooh, you know what? Oh, yeah, I'm going to have to rap with you because I have to go back through my notes because I had got a hold of some of the U.S. Corp DUNS number, and guess how far back I was able to go, Brother Wendell?
You probably went back 200 years.
I sure did. Sure in the hell did. And the first one back up in the 1900s, of course, they didn't have computers, so you saw where they Xeroxed the shit. And scanned it and put it online. So we know what the hell we're talking about. It's there. They literally have DUNS numbers and associated with the LLC. And all they do is they keep reincorporating. Okay, so they keep changing it up. And I believe that's when they stank asses go bankrupt and they just turn around and form a new company.
Just like out in the business world, I would say, that's what they do. You know,
that's exactly what they do.
They'll file bankruptcy and come under a new name, same company.
Absolutely. How the United States been doing it? They just been using a naming convention a little differently.
And as a matter of fact, if you dig into it a little bit, you'll see that they'll have anywhere from 3 to 6 or 7 different branches with all the same names, but
subsidiaries.
They'll have a different physical address.
Yep, absolutely.
And if you do that research on the DUNS site, they'll name one of them the headquarters, then the rest of them a branch.
Sure will. Just like a corporation do. So we saying all that to say, damn it.
That's what
Trump
they are.
knew exactly what the hell he was talking about.
Yeah. See,
he knows business.
See what Trump is doing is telling the people the truth in a sly kind of way.
In a sly way.
Most people ain't even paying attention.
As damn usual, and they think he's saying one thing, but he's saying another. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want any of the new listeners to think I'm a Trump advocate. I'm not. I really don't give a shit about either party because he's in there and being controlled as well. We're just trying to put you up on game to pay attention to what they say and what they do because it's a lot of double talk. But I do have to say, so far, Trump has been putting it out there the most that I have ever seen.
Now, I want to say something about Trump to these listeners out here, too. You got people on a daily basis listening to all this stuff that surrounding Trump, and they all say, he's so stupid, he don't know. And I try to tell her, you just don't understand what Trump is all about. Trump is a hell of a lot smarter than you think he is. How do you think he can do business around the world and be a dummy?
Right. And know how to move his and how to operate everything, because he has been reported saying several times that he owns nothing and controls everything. And those that know trust law know that he operates in trust, or he operates privately when it's all said and done. So I totally agree with what you're saying, brother. Okay, all right. So real quick follow up, and I don't know why Internet Explorer is clowning. Guess who came out this week and said that the Earth is flat?
Oh, who else?
Shaquille O'Neal.
Shaquille O'Neal. Not Shaq.
Yep. It goes in. I found this on RT News, and this came out actually on the 20th, and it says retired American basketball superstar Shaquille O'Neal revealed his belief about the shape of the planet Earth, speaking during a show on internet radio. It's true. The Earth is flat. The Earth is flat. Yes, it is. He says, speaking at podbay.fm. The 45-year-old has referred to his traveling experience when explaining the belief. I drive from coast to coast, and this shit is flat to me. I'm just saying. I drive from Florida to California all the time, and it's flat to me. I do not go up and down at a 360-degree angle. Four-time NBA champion words are echoing those of another basketball player, Kyrie Irving from the Cleveland Cavaliers, who spoke up his mind last week. This is not even a conspiracy theory. The Earth is flat. Four-time NBA All-Star Irving said on another podcast published on February 17th. Speaking on the show, O'Neal has also expressed his doubts in the American education system. Listen, there are three ways to manipulate the mind: what you read, what you see, and what you hear. In school, the first thing they teach us is, Columbus discovered America. But when he got there, there were some fair-skinned people with long hair smoking on the peace pipe. So what does that tell you? Columbus didn't discover America. Newark, New Jersey native O'Neal is the 7th place all-time in points scored, 15-time NBA All-Star, 3-time NBA All-Star Game MVP, 3-time Final MVP. He is also the only 3 players to win NBA MVP, All-Star Game MVP, and Finals MVP awards in the same year, 2000. Okay, so there you go. There you have it, what Shaq said. Mm-hmm.
Let me give a little shout-out to Shaq.
I know, right?
Shaq, dig a little bit deeper, cuz them folks that
Thank
Columbus
you.
said was here, that was
One
you.
fair
You was already here.
Exactly. They weren't fair-skinned, brother. Exactly.
You was already here, Shaq. I didn't want you to know that, my brother, my Liberian brother, because you're closer to the original size.
Yeah, that's true. Him being that 7-footer, absolutely. Or I think Shaq is 7 feet, if I'm not if I remember correctly.
Shaq 7'2".
Okay, 7'2". Okay, yeah, because I think he was one of the first 7'2" with all of that power. Remember when he was shattering backboards and all that? Mm-hmm. Okay, family. So there you have it. That's Brother Shaq giving his thing on flat Earth. So the last thing we're going to go into before, and then we're going to go ahead on and get started with the topic, is that Russia has stood up their own credit card processing system to replace SWIFT. So SWIFT is the worldwide system, but it is a credit card processing system that pretty much all the nations use. But the difference is that system is owned by the West. So when the West was against Russia, they were talking about cutting them off from the credit card processing system. So since that time, Russia has stood up its own system, and they made it clear that they can operate that system within their borders. So now, in addition to that, I do know that BRICS, which Russia is a part of, was also standing up their own system just for the BRICS nation. And it was rumored that that BRICS nation system would replace all of the Western systems. So they're still moving the chess pieces around in the financial world, and stuff is definitely shifting. So I did want to just keep the family updated on that, what's going on in the financial world. A little taste of it anyway. Okay, brother, did you have any news you want to go over before we get to cracking?
Oh, yeah, I got something that's hot off the presses.
Uh-oh, here we go. Dun, dun, dun.
Somebody gave me a call yesterday and made me aware of the fact that I don't know what government building this was, but they took the flag down.
What city, state, or you didn't get that or anything?
I didn't get all that. All I know is it went down.
Interesting. Very, very, very interesting.
It's something to keep your eye on.
Okay. We shall see. Now, you know that I think it was on the 15th of this month that debt ceiling, I ain't seen shit else about that debt ceiling. They reached the plateau of the debt ceiling on the 15th. So meaning pretty much it meant they asked and ran out of the fiat that they produced. So all that pretty much means is that they can no longer find any funding, meaning other nations buying their debt, the U.S. corporations' debt, which they call bonds. Because what they were doing for the last year and a half was buying their own shit, which you can't sustain that. That doesn't make sense, which is one of the reasons why folk were not doing a lot of trade with us from a shipping perspective, because they didn't want to accept the dollar. And it's also why you hear in the news on and off why the whole trade agreement is up in the air between China, between Europe, and all of these different places. So it's going to be real interesting to see how they're going to keep pretty much pushing the can down the road. I'll put it that way. It's going to be real interesting. So that government building with the little flag and stuff coming down, I'm going to watch that closely. I'm going to have to do a little bit more digging on that. So, cool. Thank you for that. Okay. Just a little follow-up from last week, because last week's show, the Ka and Ba, What is the Soul, is also a take on what we're going to discuss tonight. We are at spiritual warfare. So last week on What is the Soul, we kind of came to the conclusion that the soul is infinite, but the soul is different from the spirit. The soul is the infinite, and it comes from the all in all, and it is a very powerful source. Not everyone has a soul, and the soul, because since the soul is the oldest entity thing, it creates spirits. And so I kind of threw in my little 2 cents that a soul can have multiple spirits and exist in multiple realms. But we also concluded that the spirits are connected to the physical body and the spiritual realm. And then we also discussed, because actually Bobby Hemet kind of blew the roof off of how the spirit realm, or what we call the astral travel or plane, also has certain entities that cannot move beyond those realms. And but the soul can always go back to the all in all, the highest source, the dark matter. But the spirits cannot do that, okay? So I want us to keep that in mind about these entities that are spirit versus the original beings that have the souls that are attached to that dark matter realm, because that's going to be very, very important when we go over spiritual warfare tonight. Okay, so we're going to get into a little definition, quick definition of spiritual warfare. Now, this is the typical Wikipedia definition. I love to go there because that kind of gives me an idea of what the general populace thinks. So this says not to be confused with religious warfare, which I found interesting, because if you look up spiritual warfare in the Bible specifically, you would pretty much think, and the way preachers describe it, it is religious warfare. Okay, so it says spiritual warfare is the Christian concept of taking a stand against preternatural evil forces. It is based on the belief in evil spirits which are able to intervene in human affairs. Various Christian groups have adopted practices to repel such forces as based on the doctrine of Christian demonology. Prayer is a common form of spiritual warfare among Christians. Other practices may include exorcism, laying on the hands, fasting, or anointing with oil. Okay, so then they just go into some of the various doctrine, and so it goes into the Jewish demonology, escalated with the rise of Jewish psychographic writings of the first century, and it actually they're saying that influenced the post-New Testament writings of the early fathers, which further defined Christian demonology. And so it also talks about mainstream Christianity that typically acknowledge a belief in the reality of demons, fallen angels, the devil in Christianity, and Satan. In Christian evangelism, doctrines of demonology are influenced by interpretations of the New Testament, namely with the Gospels, and that dealing with spirits became a customary activity of Jesus' ministry. Mark states that he traveled through Galilee, preaching in their synagogues and driving out demons. Mark 1:39. Okay, so just real quick, when we did the whole series of creation story myths, we went into the whole fallen angel. We used several different ancient texts. And specifically the one we went into great detail with the fallen angels, we used Dr. York's El Holy Tablets, which is really kind of a spinoff, some say, of Zachariah Stinch's work. And then Brother Wendown, when he did the breakdown of the Lost Book of Enki, that was one of the baddest things I've seen ever. We literally linked the names of some of the entities named in the Bible back to the Anunnaki names. And that's even when in the Bible they were speaking of God. We linked it to the actual Anunnaki being that they were speaking of. Okay, so I just wanted to point that out, because once we get into spiritual warfare tonight, the shit's going to get deep. It all makes sense. Bear with me here. Okay, so then they just go on to talk about exorcism, and then it says imagery of spiritual warfare is displayed in the book of Revelations when after the war in heaven, Revelations 12:7, the beasts and kings of the earth wage war against God's people, Revelation 19:19, and the final battle ensues with Satan and the nations of the earth against God himself, and that's Revelations 28. Okay, so that's the typical definition of what spiritual warfare is. Let me go to 909 just a second here, family. 909, your line is open. Maybe you didn't mean to. Okay, 909, one more time. Okay, I'm putting you back on mute. Okay, so anybody else that wants to get in the queue, just press 1. And just note that if you do press 1 by mistake, then you are going to be in the queue. Okay, so here's the interesting part. Now, I was minding my own business like I normally do. I had just finished up some of the last research yesterday for tonight's show. And so I had been meaning to watch this program on FX, but I'm quite busy. I really have to pick and choose which television programs I'm going to watch. This program is called Legion. So happened, and I like to watch FX a lot because they play a lot of the Marvel comic reruns, and they ran the Matrix trilogy over the last couple days, so I've been catching those on and off. So anyhow, the episode Legion was on last night. I said, okay, Rhonda, go ahead on and watch as much as you have time to. Straight blew my wig back. So now this particular episode, this is going to force me to go back to the beginning to watch the entire series. But this particular episode, first of all, the show is based on X-Men characters. And so Charles Xavier, this the X-Men character, son, David, being in a mental institution for schizophrenia. Okay, so the entire show premise, this is just what I saw last night, is based on David fighting in a spiritual war. So this spiritual war started with his father and a being fighting on a spiritual plane. So his father defeated the being, and so the being subsided wherever the being went, this, that, and the third, but the being came back and wound up possessing the son. Okay, so the son finally woke up and realized that this particular being was feeding off of him. And so he took back his spiritual powers. Now, what's tripping me out, all that I just explained to you, they straight up say this in the show. They ain't sugarcoating shit, none of it. They talked about a spiritual, how they were fighting on the spiritual plane. And the Dan guy, that's the son, even said that they weren't fighting like combat to combat. They were fighting with their mind. So I'm like, oh, shit, they getting deep with this. Okay, so then the son, Dan, was saying that he had to take back his power from this particular being. So Dan is learning how to use his spiritual power. Now, Dan was locked up in the damn mental institution because he got schizophrenia, right? So all this shit that's taking place is in his mind, but he's literally, his spirit is on the spiritual plane. Okay, so one part of his spirit is in the spiritual plane discussing this with his boy actually he was discussing it with his damn self on this spiritual plane of what went on. But in the meantime, this same being is trying to kill him and his people on another plane. Okay, so that particular thing got frozen where a gun went off. Somebody slowed down the frequency, had it stopped, or quote, quote, stop time. So this whole episode was Dan on a spiritual plane trying to get his shit together to change the friends getting killed in this particular plane. So his other friend, particularly his girlfriend, and I don't know who this other broad was, went to go try to get Dan out of the mental institution. Okay, but now they all still on the spiritual plane. Let's be clear. They're still on the spiritual plane because Dan's father came to the girlfriend and said, you need to go get Dan. You need to go wake him up. So this is the part that tripped me out. The father comes to the girlfriend. They on the spiritual plane now. Guess what he walking through the spiritual plane in? A goddamn diver suit. A back in the day diver suit with the big helmet and the big shoes. Uh-oh. Can you hear me? Okay. Can you hear me, Brother Wendell? Okay, I thought I blanked out for a minute. So he's walking through this spiritual plane in this diving suit. And I'm like, oh, okay, so there y'all are admitting that we're all submerged in water. And when you go beyond this plane, you're in another deep sea when you go up or when you go below. Okay, I feel you. So anyhow, he tells the girlfriend, look, you got to go on and get Dan up out of there. But look, we got these special eyeglasses. You got to put these glasses on when you go to that place to pick Dan up. So really, when she was going to this other plane, because you can see what's real and not real. So right away, I think about the movie They Live, which was really about you having your pineal gland open to be able to see what's real and what's not real. So he gives her a couple of pair of these little glasses. She goes to the other plane, and one of the other friends was over there, and the other friend was seeing all these demons and screaming and fighting. So she puts the glasses on, and immediately she saw what no demons there. It was actually zombies. Zombies she was seeing. What no zombies there, it was all an illusion. So she gives the girl the glasses. So bottom line, they had to fight through all of these different doors, these locked doors, to get to Dan to try to wake him the hell up, to get him to get over to this other spiritual plane. And so the demon came to fight the girl. So they finally knocked the demon down to jump back over to the other plane to stop the action of the gun going off. Okay, so that was that particular episode. I only bring all of that up to say that I was extremely, extremely surprised that they were so detailed about fighting over in the spiritual plane, and they didn't hide anything at all. They literally was calling it by the names and calling it for what it was. The only thing they did not go into was like, them using their pineal gland, etc. But if you study this stuff, you knew enough to know that that's what they were doing. So I'll pause, Brother Wendell, in case you want to put something on it, and then we're going to go head on if not.
You said they're showing episodes of Legion.
Mm-hmm. And that was my first time ever seeing it.
There's actually a movie called Legion with Charles S. Dutton in it.
Oh, really? The man that played The Rock?
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm going to have to go back and try to pull that.
Yeah, that movie is, I want to say 2010, somewhere around there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to have to go back and pull that because they claim that the series is based off of the Marvel X-Men. So I'm going to continue to check that one out. I'm going to go back and kind of look at the rest. But it just kind of blew me back how they explicitly went in on fighting on the spiritual plane. Okay. So as far as spiritual warfare, we're going to go into just real quick from a biblical perspective. There's a bunch of biblical texts out there regarding spiritual warfare, but they kind of seemed a little churchy, religious to me. So I kind of pulled out the ones that I knew, based on the way they read, made more sense. So this first one comes out of Ephesians chapter 6, verse 10. And now this is coming out of the New International Version. This reads a heck of a lot different to me than the King James Version. Okay, so it says, this is chapter 6, verse 10. Finally, be strong in the Lord and his mighty power. Put the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's scheme. For our struggle is not against the flesh and blood, but against the rulers, authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Okay, so here's why I pulled this particular one, because last week when we listened to Bobby Hemet's particular clip, he explained to us the difference between what we are calling the heavenly realms, the spiritual realm, the astral plane, and when we astral project, it is to the same place. And in this particular place, spirits are able to go there. And of course, those with souls are able to go there as well. The difference is those with souls can travel beyond that. But the spirits are just trapped in that particular realm, or that's the highest realm that they could go. And Bobby and a couple of other master teachers that we listened to their work last week said that this is the realm that these demigods, if you want to call them demigods, if you want to call them fallen angels, if you want to call them demons, this is where they reside. And this is where they have set up shop, per se, and started the art of manipulation of this realm. So meaning, let's take religion, for example. A lot of these religious systems with the different names, we talked about this last week, with the Allah, with the Yahweh, with whatever, the Jehovah's. If you trace the etymology of those names, if you go back and look at ancient texts, you can associate other beings with those particular names. That a lot of the world that is using religion versus spirituality are calling upon those names. They are actually calling upon those beings and entities and being ruled by those beings and entities, where ultimately they are ciphering power from these particular beings, and especially those that are the oldest primordial souls, because you or we have the most energy. Okay, so this particular passage, to me, when it speaks of this against the power of the dark world and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. That's exactly the realm that it is referring to. It is referring to what we're calling spiritual plane, where these demigods reside. Okay. So I'll pause in case you had something to put on it, Brother Wendell. I didn't want to be still going into.
You said one word, summons. Now, where do you hear that terminology?
Summons. Don't you hear that in the goddamn court?
There you go. You go.
Exactly.
Summons and command. They love to use those two words.
Yep. Exactly. So the same demigods that set up the system of religion to have basically in this realm, folks, pretty much you're giving over your power, you're giving over your energy, worshiping them. Therefore, you are giving them control. You are giving them your sovereignty. And that's the same exact goddamn thing that happened when you cross across the threshold of a courthouse. They clearly tell you, once you cross across that goddamn threshold of that court, you are under their what? Jurisdiction. So very good point, Brother Wendell. Very good point. Same exact thing. Okay. So the next verse I pulled is John 5, chapter 5, verse 18, and this was out of the New International Version. We know that anyone born of God does not continue to sin. The one who was born of God keeps them safe, and the evil one cannot harm them. So I took this verse as to say, it's number one, let's start with simple logic. It is making the distinction of beings that come from, quote, quote, God. Okay, we're going to use that loosely. Beings that does not come, quote, quote, from God. So could this particularly mean those that are from that dark matter, primordial, all in all source versus, and those having a soul versus those that did not come from that source, that were some type of spinoff, or just our spirit? So in other words, it is saying, if you are from that all in all, you are from that dark matter, then you are also more powerful than any one of the quote, quote, demigods. And I'm not going to blow that thunder. We're going to get into that later because I don't want to go there just yet. So let's just say, if you are of the all in all, you know you come from that dark matter source. And how do you know that? If you claim you have a soul, then that is where you came from. Therefore, you possess in you that same power of the all in all, making you more powerful than entities that does not have a soul, and specifically the entities or the demigods that are only the highest they could go is a spiritual plane. Okay, so I'll pause, Brother Wendell, in case you want to put something on that.
Well, there are certain, I guess you could call them entities, that don't have a soul. And I think here, especially over the last 5 years, a lot of these things out here that we call people have been discovering that they don't have a soul. That's a tough pill to swallow.
Damn. So you think that they know? And see, I was thinking that they didn't know. They, walking around here thinking that they do.
I'm gonna give this for an example. Let's look at these over the last couple of years, all these police shootings, right?
Mhm.
To just shoot a person like that, you got to know you don't have a soul. Ain't no fucking way you can convince me otherwise.
Yeah, and just like what's dude's name? Rockefeller that just kicked the bucket. You know that motherfucker didn't have no soul.
And then here, well, let's take for instance what has happened on this planet over the last, let's just say, 3,000 years.
Mhm.
The people been lied to about everything. Now, who in the hell got a soul that could just lie to you like that about it? I ain't talking about just a couple of things. I'm talking about everything.
Pretty much everything. Absolutely. And purposely hid it.
Yeah, ain't no fucking way you got a soul to do that. Ain't no way.
True that, and I think, and 470, I see you, sweetie. I'm bringing you in, and maybe Brother Sean. And not only that, I think it also goes deeper than that, because I think those demigods are coming into the physical, and they could be taking over different spirits, physical, to keep this perpetual lie going, to keep us on a lower vibration so they can keep ruling to feed off of folk.
Yep.
So, okay, so let me bring on 470. 470, your line is open.
Greetings, beloved sister.
Hey, greetings.
Greetings, brother.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm all right, yourself?
I'm well.
The comment that you made about the difference between who created what, I thought the God of that book created everything, good and evil. But right there, he makes a distinction that he didn't create everything.
Yeah, that kind of blew me away too. That is true.
That's right there saying that it's a demigod. They even
I
have to tell the truth in face of the all in all.
I see what you're saying. So it's just a demigod in there saying that I just created this facet of people because the all in all, both good and evil, comes out of the one.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very good point. Very good point.
And going back to that Rockefeller thing, I mean, the rest of them need to take notice. I mean,
I think they have, brother.
Mother is claiming back everything. Everybody that's running around with the melanated parts in them, you're not meant to contain ether. It's coming back out.
Yep.
Yeah. They all about to pay.
I totally agree. I personally felt that was just the beginning, that this is cleanup time. And we're about to see a lot of their asses drop, because, and we're not even talking about getting to the so-called politricians that we're seeing, because at the end of the day, they're really the low level.
Exactly.
They're going to start with the hard-hitting MFs, like the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, all of their asses. I really believe that they gonna start bumping them off.
Mhm.
Now,
the Rodhams, you got to include the Rodhams in there too.
That's true. The Bushes, all of that.
Yeah, they're Hitler's family, the Rodhams.
But see, this is also a level of spiritual warfare. They don't have souls, so that breath of life is being taken away from them. That spirit.
Yep, that's pretty much a wrap. And interestingly enough, I had a conversation with someone just the week before. I promise you, it was just the week before, and they were on the astral plane. They saw all of the big boys that we just mentioned sitting in this room, and this particular person was having a conversation with them, telling them how it's over, this, that, and the third. We have won. This is it, and so they started to get up and run. So this person was in their spiritual form. Of course, they're using their spiritual warfare. So the person had their swords, and anybody that astral travel and astral fight and kick ass, you know what I'm talking about when I talk about these swords. Took out the sword and then had a whip and whipped their ass all back in the room and sat them down. And told them, this is over, your time is up, this, that, and the third. And so the person said to me, they were all just sitting there. They weren't saying anything. I said, yeah, they don't have no fucking soul. And so I said to the person, I said, I'm going to tell you something. What you saw on that spiritual plane is telling me that the spiritual war has been won. We're taking down these entities. I said, now, what happens on the spiritual plane? And this is why we're supposed to be fighting on the spiritual plane, not on the physical. I said, mark my words. You're going to start seeing what you just talked about on the spiritual realm. It's going to start manifesting in the physical. And I'll be damned, the next week, that's when they announced dude had passed, Rockefeller had passed. So I called the person up, and I know they're going to listen to this. They're going to be chuckling. Said, guess who passed today? Who? Rockefeller. What? So the person had forgot. I said, don't you remember you told me about a dream last week? Oh, hell no. So I'm saying all that to say that you're absolutely right, Brother Sean. This is far beyond just dude just dying. This is the spiritual war manifesting over into the physical. So very, very good point, Brother Sean.
Because we can't beat them in the physical. We can't beat them in the physical war.
Right. And, like I told the person, and I keep sharing with the family, if you are who you say you are, if you are a God, then that means you are a ruler. So when you go over into the spiritual realm, we already gave you the distinction between entities that cannot rise above a spiritual plane, but since you are an eternal being, you are a nine-ether being, you come from the all in all, you can rise above. You fucking created the spiritual plane.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, you are the ruler. You're supposed to be the ruler of the demigods, not the fucking opposite. So now we're starting to wake from this fog and see, oh, okay, so a coup took place. And you took over my house, my domain. You've been feeding off of me. Oh, okay, we finna correct this real quick. So that is what we're starting to see. And real quick, I saw the last scene of Ghostbusters over the weekend. And those of you, this is the original one. Y'all gonna know what I'm talking about if y'all remember that movie. When they were fighting that demigod or demon, they called it a demon. They went to this demigod. They was on top of the building in New York. Shit, I forget the particular building's name. But so then they were like, I think it was Dan Aykroyd was like, such and so. It named the demon's name or the demigod's name. You need to go. You're not supposed to be here. Blah blah blah. By the state of New York. La la la. You need to leave. So the demigod turned around and was like, and I couldn't. This part. This is verbatim. Are you a god? So Dan Aykroyd said, well, no. So the demigod said, well, then die. And start fucking them up, boy. So they rolled all back. And so after they came out of that, the brother said, next time they ask you if you are God, you are to say yes. And I sat there like, hell no. They just say what I thought they said. I've seen this movie, I don't know how many times, but they put it right in your face. So in other words, the demigod fucked them up because, bruh, you ain't recognizing yourself as no God, so who the hell are you?
Exactly.
He set himself up.
Yeah, that demigod turned around and started fucking them up. But it took the melanated brother to say, next time they ask you if you are God, you are to say yes. So in other words, same concept, what we have been going through. We have been allowing these semi-gods or demigods, demons, to rule over them because we don't know who we are. So very, very good point, brother. Very good point. Okay, so last week, now I know why I couldn't find that video because I was meant to play it for this week's show. I was trying to play Brother Young Pharaoh, the Mandela Effect and Spiritual Warfare. Y'all, this is going to be some pretty powerful shit. Now, the first half, he's going to go into breaking down the science behind the Mandela effect, and then he's going to start going into how they are manipulating, on the spiritual realm with these different entities and demigods. Okay, so we're going to... let me make sure I got the right one. Shit, because did I mix it up? Nope, I didn't. I didn't mix it up. Okay, so I'm going to play this before I go into this. Brother Wendell, Brother Sean, do you all have anything you want to put in on it? This is about a 15-minute video. I'm going to play that, and then we're going to come back and chop it up. This is pretty powerful. But I don't want to go into it in case, Brother Sean or Brother Wendell, you have something else you want to put in on anything.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. So this is from Brother Young Pharaoh, and this one is called, damn, I hope we didn't listen to this last week. Shit. If not, I'll have to stop it because I got 2 sets of videos by him. So I'm not sure if I played this last week. If I did, I'm going to stop it and go into the other one because I think I'm getting confused. So here we go.
Peace, family. This video right here is about the Mandela effect and spiritual warfare. Now, first we're going to start with the Mandela effect, and we're going to synchronize it in how the government is using the CERN machine to cause the Mandela effect in their spiritual warfare, in regards to the spiritual warfare that they've been waging on humanity. So that being said, let's get into the Mandela effect. The Mandela effect is the alleged effect of events in time, particularly the past, that are being altered in over 50% of the world population, not just your neighbor, the world population is having memories or neurological recollections of different events or things taking place. Now I'll give you a prominent example. And if you don't know what the Mandela effect is, if this video is just putting you onto it, you can go research Mandela effect alterations. They got a whole entire list of shit that's been altered from the past, from cereal boxes to whatever you could think of, how you spell, a lot of logos, everything. Things that have been altered, but half the world remembers it other than what we are seeing now. Now I'm going to give y'all the biggest one. Star Wars, the first Star Wars movie. Darth Vader says to Luke Skywalker at the end, Luke, I am your father. Yes? You agree? Yes. That's what we all know he says for a fact, hands down. I didn't even watch the whole goddamn movie, and I know he say that. Now, why is this important? Now, when you look at any Star Wars movie, including the original copy, he says, no, I am your father. Go look this shit up. Now, Darth Vader is saying, no, I am your father. So now what's being alleged by the scientific community is that somebody's going back in time, altering events. And now we are experiencing them in this day and time in what is called the Mandela effect. Now they're going into the past and the future, and I'm going to let y'all know, family, that this is true. And I'm getting ready to prove it because I prove everything that come out of my mouth. But I want y'all to know, if y'all don't think Europeans are playing with the fabric of the cosmos, you will know. Not think, you will know that they are now. So with that being said, how are these motherfuckers going back in time and altering reality as we know it? Easy. They have what is called a pulse tube dilution refrigerator. Now, what is the meaning of a pulse tube dilution refrigerator, family? Pulse is any electromagnetic wave, heat signature, or any frequency module that is being emitted. So that's a pulse. So in order to be a pulse, or for something to have a pulse, it has to basically emit heat or any electromagnetic waves. Now, tube is in the title because the heat and electromagnetic waves and quantum frequencies are being channeled through a tube into a dilution chamber. Dilution means to weaken. And then after that, it's being controlled in by what you would call a cubic cube, spelled Q-U-B-I-T, into a refrigerated compartment. Now, the definition of a refrigerator means to control the heat. So, pulse tube dilution refrigerator. Electromagnetic waves being controlled or manipulated through a tube, weakened, and then exported in a calculated manner through a refrigerated state. Why? I'll tell you why. Because what the qubit chip does, and to give you a mental description or depiction of the qubit chip is about the size of your thumbnail. And what this does is this actually merges parallel frequencies at their nexus point. Now, if you don't know what a nexus is, let me give you an example. A nexus is the point where two lines cross. So let's say my two fingers was racing down the road, and then they do an X, and then they go back to being in their path. And then they do another X, and then they go back to continuing down their path. Each of those little X marks the spot points where they cross will be considered the nexus point. Now, what the qubit chip is doing is it's creating nexus points. It's bonding quantum material. Now, I would need for y'all to think how deep I'm talking when I say the fabric. I'm not talking about atoms, okay? I'm talking about what's behind the motherfucking atom. So atoms are held together by what's called gluons, G-L-U-O-N-S. So just like glue holds things together in a more dense materialized state, atoms are held together too by a more subatomic glue particle. Now we're talking about what's behind that. So if you want to know how deep I'm talking, go watch my video, Unified Field and Solar Ascension. And when I show the unified field, I'm talking about the fabric of the universe where everything comes out of. That's what I'm talking about. The cubic cube is actually taking these parallel magnetic frequencies and merging them together. So now why is this important? Because they're merging realities or dimensions. Now we're talking about merging dimensions. You got to remember, dimensions are just angles. Dimension on a physical scale or dimension on a scale of reality is angles of light. So now let me break down how the qubit chip is able to do this. In the refrigerator section of the pulse tube dilution refrigerator, it has a mechanism composed in it where it freezes or cools. Let's say cools the qubit chip to almost exactly 0 degrees. So now this dilution refrigerator is actually cold enough. It's when you compare its temperature, it's actually 100 times colder than interstellar space. Now, why is this important, and why would this chamber need to be this cold? Because when we're dealing with the unified field, the only way to get precise access to that field is to actually slow down reality itself. Now, I'm going to give y'all a mental description before I go into the science. Have you ever seen that movie Wanted with Angelina Jolie, and they got that little yarn thing, and whatchamacallit, and he tell the man, the white man, when he be training him, reach in there, and there was something in there he had to grab, and the yarn thing was shooting a metal, let's say metal objects across, back and forth. And remember, he kept putting his hand in there, and it kept fucking his hand up, and it kept stabbing him. And then when he finally focused in, the metal objects seemed to slow down, and he was able to go in and be precise and grab exactly what he wanted. That's what they're using the dilution refrigerator to do. Now, I'm going to tell you how. Molecules, right? If you don't know about molecules, quick science lesson. Gas, liquid, solid are all determined by heat signatures, a.k.a. degrees. So when it's 80 degrees outside, that just means that the sun is 80 degrees latitude from wherever you are at that specific latitude and longitude point on planet Earth. So once the sun becomes 32 degrees below the horizon, hence degrees. We're not saying, see, temperature is measured by degrees. Physical molecules begin to freeze. Now, why is this important? An object only becomes a gas when the sun is at a certain degree. So because it's emitting so much heat frequency or electromagnetic frequency on that object that the molecules are far apart, they're vibrating. Once the sun goes down to, let's say, a medium state of degree or a medium state of temperature, the molecules are not close enough to become a solid, but they're not far enough to be a gas, so they're in a liquid state. So instead of being far apart, they're almost combusted. So now, as the sun goes to 32 degrees or below, the object is so far out of the heat spectrum or the electromagnetic wave spectrum that the molecules begin to almost become non-existent and still. So they become a solid. Hence, all life is manifested and kept in motion by the sun. If the sun ever went away, all life would stop as we know it. This is why, because the sun determines reality. So now, freezing, if there was a spectrum past freezing, it would be what the fuck we call death or space or voidness. So now, why is this important? The goddamn qubit chip is taking molecules, particularly atoms, and stopping them to the point where there's almost no such fucking thing as reality as we know it. They're taking it to almost 0 degrees. Remember, 0 degrees is void of life. That means it's over. So they're taking this motherfucker to almost 0 degrees to where the atom is barely vibrating, and there they have a precise, accurate, let's say, shot at the electromagnetic wavelength of the unified field, which is creating the atom. And they're grabbing it with the qubit chip, and then they're grabbing other points in time and space with the qubit chip and merging the motherfuckers, and they're merging dimensions. So now once they merge the dimension, what they're doing with the CERN machine, once they merge the dimension, they're altering everything that happens in that time and space by causing two frequencies to, let's say, have a chaotic interaction with each other. So it's just like if I took two wires and I chewed the two ends and I went to touch them, they would spark and cause chaotic events. This is what they're doing with parallel universes. So they got shit happening on our planet, and we don't know if they're grabbing shit from Jupiter, Saturn, we don't know. But our planet is being affected by the shit that they're doing beyond the subatomic level. This is on a quantum level. I want y'all to know how deep these motherfuckers is altering shit. So they're not just making GMO foods. They're not just making clone motherfuckers. These motherfucking white people are so fucking far out of control. These motherfuckers is fucking with the universe literally. They're fucking with the fabric. So that's fuck me throwing ketchup on your shirt. That's like me going in and slowly pulling the yarn out of your shit. Okay? These motherfuckers, polluting the air wasn't enough. Now they going behind the continent which creates the air and fucking with that. So you gotta understand, this is like some movie shit, okay? This is like some movie, this is shit you see in the movies, motherfuckers fucking with reality. So now, let's keep it kicking, family. Now what they're doing, once they have realities binded, these satanic ass motherfuckers. Because if you look at the CERN machine, the logo is 666. And I did a video on the CERN machine to give y'all more in-depth information. Now, just type in Pharaoh CERN. So now, why is it important? Once these motherfuckers bind the spectrums of light or react or the quantum, the positions on the unified field using quantum mechanics. Everybody go look up quantum mechanics. What they're doing is they're pulling entities out now. So now I give you an example. Everybody, or the majority of people, including myself, I did a video on it, Astral Projection Part 1, are now having accounts that they're going to sleep and there's an old man and an old lady sitting on their chest trying to drain the life force out of them. These are two phantoms that are being put out of their dimension using the CERN machine in a motherfucking pulse tube dilution refrigerator. So they don't exist on this realm, but they're being merged into this realm. This is just a small example of the shit that white people do. So they didn't win a step further. They went from doing Illuminati rituals and shit like that to now they're doing demonic spirit manifestation on a technological level. So what they're trying to do now is saying, fuck conjuring the spirit of these entities. We trying to bring them motherfuckers here. That's what they're trying to do with the CERN machine. Now let me get back to how they're doing. Now that they have the realities merged at the nexus points, what they're doing is they're taking light, because remember, light manifests all physical reality. They're taking photons specifically. So you got neutrons, electrons, protons, and then photons. Protons is PR, photons is PHOTONS. Now photons are the purest form of light, okay? Photons are only found at the very end of the electromagnetic spectrum. Photons are antimatter and matter combined. Matter and antimatter is like yin and yang, physical and spiritual, okay? Antimatter is anti-physical, anti-materialized. Matter is just condensed energy. So just like melanin is condensed sunlight, the sun, which in all physical reality, matter is just condensed quantum energy. So now why is this important? They're taking atoms, because remember, our spectrum of light travels at 186,000 miles per second. They're taking our spectrum of light speed, which it takes to create physical reality over here, taking two atoms, crashing them together at 186,000 miles per second, and causing these atoms to break apart. Just like when two cars crash together and doors and shit fly off, when two atoms crash together, when two photons crash together, matter and antimatter, just specks of it just fall off. So now, in these tubes, where they're doing this, the amount of destruction that's being caused is the equivalent to 4 Hiroshima bombs going off at the same time in these concentrated tubes that they're conducting these laboratorial experiments. And what they're doing is once the photons crash apart, they're grabbing the antimatter and putting it in special chambers where they hold it. And what's happening is the soul or the etheric realm is what you would call antimatter. So your ethereal body travels on the astral plane, and what science will confirm to be antimatter. So now why is it important? As they pull antimatter out of the very fabric of the universe, they're pulling spiritual beings that are attached to that antimatter as well. So now why is it important? You don't only pull good shit, you pull bad shit too. So now what they're doing is they're pulling demonic entities into this realm after they've merged them using the pulse tube dilution refrigerator. Okay? And the Mandela effect is the visual recollection or evidence that we're having for their experiments that they're carrying out as just humanoid beings on the planet Earth due to our realities being altered. So now this goes back to the statistics. Over 50% of people in the world is remembering shit, but then when they experience it, it's being other way. Everybody's watching Star Wars, waiting for Darth Vader to say, Luke, I am not your father, but yet this motherfucker saying, no, I am not your father, but on the damn tape, when you first bought it, you know for a fact he said Luke. So now, this is due to them merging our dimensions and altering our realities and using the motherfucking qubit chips.
Okay. All right. So that was the first part. I have to split it up because it won't allow me to load a long video at one time. So before we get into the ending of it, Brother Wendell, Brother Sean, did you want to put something on it? Otherwise, we're going to jump into the part 2 of that.
Go ahead, Part 2.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brother Sean.
I just wanted to make the comparison to Back to the Future, where he was told not to touch nothing or it would interfere with the timeline and alter events.
That's a very good point.
That was all I wanted to put on it.
Okay. All right. So let's go into Part 2. Here we go.
You need a better understanding on time travel. I did a video called Past, Present, Future. It's in the PAU, Fairwell University format. I'm on the board breaking down how you time travel, how you slow down molecules. So that video will help you out. So I'm not really going to go in too much on time travel. Now, when we're dealing with how this is being used for spiritual warfare, because in the 1950s, the United States government, using what is called an electrosomnographic scanner, which that's just a piece of machinery, just like when you're in the hospital and the doctors put them little suction things on you, they put these things on you using the electrosomnographic scanner, and this actually can measure your chakra levels. This actually can measure the strength of your aura. It basically is like a physical for the soul. So when you go to the doctor and they put that shit on your arm and they pump it up and take your blood pressure, all that, what the electrosomnographic scanner does is it basically does that to you on a spiritual level, and they can tell you how spiritually healthy you are. And what they did was they found out that, remember, the heart is 578 hertz and below. So what they did was they found out once somebody gets 578 hertz below, that they begin to manifest and generate the negative aspects of themselves. So everybody has your right side, positive, protons. Your left side, negative, electrons. Everybody's made up of matter and antimatter, yin and yang. Now, your physical body is your matter, and your ethereal body is the antimatter, and the emotions that you generate actually helps you to pull in positive or negative vibrations, which will attract spiritual beings to you. They found this out. We've been through this in the ancient times, but I'm letting you know because I'm dealing with the government. The government has confirmed this to themselves in the 1950s. So now why is it important? This is why we want to get into your higher and lower self. What they're doing is they're using the media in the food. And if you need an exact understanding of what I'm talking about, go watch my Hijacking the Human Being lecture. I break this shit down step by step. They're using the media and food to put everybody on a spiritual and psychological and physical vibration that's negative and low enough for them to be fed and harvested upon spiritually by the beings that they're pulling into this realm using the pulse tube dilution refrigerator and the CERN machine. This is not a motherfucking joke. This is a fact. When you look at the logo of the CERN machine, like I always say, like I said before, it's 666, okay? They got the goddamn statue of Shiva, the demonic Hindu being, at the damn CERN machine facility. And if you need details, I go in my video titled CERN, so just go watch the video. So that being said, family, the Mandela effect is Europeans alternating reality using the pulse tube dilution refrigerator to cool the qubit chip to almost zero, to slow down the molecular frequency of reality as we know it, going and pinpoint quantum lines which actually act as the fabric of reality as in time and space in this continuum, bind them together in what they call nexus points, and then not only merge us with the realm of other with the realms of other beings, but extract antimatter from these photons of those realms to pull those beings spiritually over here and make them spiritually present. And then in exchange for information, because this is what the satanic rituals are for, they conjure these beings up, and the beings give them information in exchange for experiences on this realm. So you can go watch my video Hollywood where I break that down. So now all of that is being used, the Mandela effect is being used to carry out the spiritual warfare. Now, if you don't believe the Mandela effect is real, look at this picture, family.
Okay, that's interesting. I don't know why all of a sudden it just stopped.
Okay, now that y'all seen the picture, you can see at the top of the poster, and this is a man who's a scientist at CERN. Go look him up. And Paul Beagley, who is not the man in the picture I just showed you, but is someone who is well researched in the area of CERN, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe he actually used to work at CERN. So go look up Paul Beagley. He'll confirm everything that I've just stated in this video and everything I'm getting ready to state. The man in the photograph that I just showed you, that old white man with the gray bushy hair and the sign on his neck, took that picture before the CERN machine was beginning to even be used and before the Mandela effect was even heard of. So they took that picture years ago. But notice, the top of the sign says Bond 1. Bond 1 is the first James Bond. His last name was Nelson. And then at the bottom of the sign it says Mandela. Now, the Mandela effect was named the Mandela effect is because this is when people around the world first started experiencing the alternative reality or the effects of them compromising the quantum fabric of the universe. What happened was half the people on the globe was remembering Nelson Mandela dying in his cell, and the other half was saying that he died recently and he never died in prison. So what happened was, back then the government had already predicted whose reality that they were going to alter, and who specifically they were going to let's say recompose or bring back through the manipulation of time and give them a different ending in their lives, and who in the world they would allow to notice it and what they would name it. So they named the Mandela effect before they even started altering reality, when they knew that they were going to specifically be fucking with Nelson Mandela's reality in regards to how he died. That he would die in a prison, then they would go fuck with the past, bring him back through woven the fabric of the quantum universe, and then let him live a normal life. And 50% of the people on the planet Earth have subconsciously caught on to this, and now this is where you get the name the Mandela effect from. So this shows you that the government not only are the generators of the Mandela effect, they are the namers of the Mandela effect, and they plan the goddamn Mandela effect through manipulation of the fabric of the universe that we know. So, family, I'm going to end on this note, family. You got to understand how big this is. Like I said again, this is not stop chopping down the forest, or this ain't no corny shit like that. These motherfuckers is fucking with what creates your spirit in itself. These motherfuckers is on the ethereal realm now, okay? These motherfuckers ain't just, it's deeper than BET and women acting inappropriately and men acting inappropriately. These motherfuckers is behind atoms. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? So you got me, you got my shirt, you got the atoms that make up my shirt, then you got the shit that make up the atoms. So like I said, atoms are made up of protons, neutrons, and electrons, and they vibrate to a point to where they become photons. But the atom itself is held together by gluons. Once again, gluons, gluons. So gluons is the glue for the quantum world. So it's like the glue of all subatomic particles. These motherfuckers is behind that, fucking with shit. So what makes up our reality as we know it? These motherfuckers is manipulating it using the pulse tube dilution refrigerator and the CERN machine. So this is past protesting. This is past voting. See, voting and protesting is for the sheeple. It's for you stupid motherfuckers to you so busy trying to stop the imaginary shit they doing on the street that you don't even understand. These motherfuckers is the shit they doing is so real you won't even believe it. You probably watch this video right now at home and can't even believe that these motherfuckers is traveling in time and fucking with the fabrics of reality because it's so far gone out your impunitive ass mind because you still stuck on the goddamn Constitution and you still trying to fight for the fictitious world or the Matrix, and then you think the realm and the actual shit that's a capability is false. So what you got to understand, family, is these motherfuckers is where God exists. Whatever God you believe in, that is where white people are now when it comes to pollution and destruction. So they polluted the air, polluted the water, polluted the earth, polluted every motherfucking thing they could on the planet, polluted you, polluted the food. Now they are behind what generates all of that, and they fucking with that. So, family, I don't know what the fuck y'all want. I don't know how much information you need after this to understand we have to do something. I don't give a fuck what you do. It got to be something. The protesting, all of that shit, nigga, you out there with a sign in the motherfucking whatever city you in, protesting, and they are recomposing the very quantum electromagnetic field of your being and the sign that you're holding, and can actually make that to have never have happened. So understand this shit, family. These motherfuckers can go and reconstruct the reality to where this video never happened. That's how far we let these motherfuckers get. So we got to go back and get back on our throne and we got to stand up for the planet Earth, and we got to stand up for the spiritual realm. Because now you motherfuckers want to keep talking about the ancestors. These motherfuckers fucking with the ancestors. So you can't even rest in peace. So they going to fuck with you here, pollute this planet, and then when you die, they going to be fucking with you by extracting you out of the echo realm through the form of antimatter. So the living and the dead no longer can be left alone by the white man. He fucking with the living, the dead, the motherfuckers that's living and dead at the same time. This nigga's out of control. But I mean, I can go on and on, family, but I'm gonna end it right here. The Mandela effect is being caused by the United States, by motherfucking world governments, okay? Because as I stated in my video, in the last video I just posted, I believe it was called Artificial Weaponry. Over 13 countries have these pulse-tube dilution refrigerators, okay? And 3 of them bitches is in America. And I broke this down in my other video. I'm going to say this again. Antimatter is all interconnected because all things in the universe is interconnected. Antimatter has been proven to pull out demonic entities. You can go look this up, family. Once again, research Paul Beagley. They had took some antimatter and secretly stored it in a college. Because when you get these colleges like Harvard and Yale, and they be in there making breakthroughs and shit, they be in there playing with shit they don't got no business playing with. And they was secretly stored in the college, and all the students in the college start getting violent and having nightmares. So this is like when we talk about Freddy Krueger and shit like that, motherfuckers coming out of the dream realm, this is the shit we talking about. Everybody in the college start having the same motherfucking nightmares. So what they did was they took the antimatter out of the college and they took it to an underground facility. Now all of these underground facilities that the government have, they doing shit like this in it. Now why is this important? Because as I told you, everything is interconnected, okay? If I take a piece of yarn out of your shirt, all the shit up here gonna get tight. It's just the law of cause and effect. So antimatter is highly active once it comes in contact with actual matter. So now why is this important? 1 gram of antimatter is equivalent to 4 Hiroshima bombs. So if these motherfuckers, you don't know if they got some shit under your house. It could be a clone facility under your house right now. If some antimatter get leaked, right, in this world, 4 Hiroshima bombs is going to fuck off by wherever you live. You see what 1 Hiroshima bomb did to Japan. Imagine 4 on your block. So now why is it important? Since all matter is connected through quantum frequency, the antimatter, let's say in New York State where I'm at, if this shit was to detonate in New York State, motherfucking the cloning facility they got in Texas would detonate, the cloning facility they got in fucking California would detonate, the shit they got in Alaska would detonate, anywhere on the planet Earth where there's secretly hiding antimatter would detonate. So now why is it important? You will virtually destroy the motherfucking planet Earth. So now the question is, family, not only do we know antimatter is here, how do we get it the fuck out? Okay? So you living on a planet, we didn't let these motherfuckers turn planet Earth to a ticking motherfucking time bomb. So this is how far back we've become at being in tune with nature. It's like when you playing one of them games, one of them submarine games, and you in a boat, and you got to try not to crash the landmine. Now we have subatomic landmines all over the planet Earth that one day you motherfuckers can ignore it and act like it's not here, but one day we're going to have to address this. And this is where extraterrestrials come in, and this is why they've been destroying underground facilities, which you can research. So you got to understand, family, we have to clean the fucking planet up, all right? But before we get there, we have to stop the motherfuckers. That's the reason we got to clean it in the first place. So we got to break down the importance of antimatter, family. It's been proven to pull in subatomic, spiritual beings out of its realm. Antimatter is studied by scientists in the field of paranormal activity as well as paradoxology. So this is a well acknowledged phenomena. This ain't no made up shit. So we got to get back to being serious with the information. We can't keep fucking playing and live in la-la land and believing in shit that's not real. We have to get serious, family. And the reason I'm going hard, I'm amping this video because this shit is very serious. Like, y'all don't y'all don't understand. The whole fucking world could become destroyed right now as we know it because we too busy watching Love and Hip Hop. Black people are watching Love and Hip Hop and fucking praying to Jesus, and white people is crashing particles of light together, pulling out antimatter and fucking merging dimensions. You see the fucking imbalance there? So we have to get back in tune with quantum mechanics and quantum science as the ancestors were so that we can successfully defend the motherfucking planet instead of just living on it and dying with it. So family, I'm going to end on that note. Like I said, I ain't going to make this video too long, but I wanted to break down what the Mandela effect is, how it's being caused, research everything I said, family. You'll see it for yourself. And black people, we got to start somewhere. I don't give a fuck where we start, but we got to start somewhere from here. We cannot keep living in la-la land and lying to our fucking selves like everything is all right. It is not all right. We are the guardians of the galaxy. We have allowed ourselves to be dethroned from our job and duty as melanated cosmic beings, and we have allowed the galaxy to literally be infiltrated. Think about that. These motherfuckers have infiltrated the water. They've using nanotechnology. They've infiltrated atoms. Using genetic engineering, they've infiltrated DNA. And now using the goddamn CERN machine and the pulse tube dilution refrigerator, they've infiltrated the fucking universe itself. So we have to step in, period. Or if not, shut the fuck up and have fun going in the FEMA camp if they try to pop this martial law. So with that being said, peace.
Okay, family. So again, that was by brother, calls himself Young Pharaoh off of YouTube, and that particular video is Mandela Effect and Spiritual Warfare. Okay, so I'll pause in case Brother Wendell, Brother Sean, you want to put something on it before I go in.
Where to begin?
I know, and I got another one from him tonight. We're going to get in a little bit of Hemet first, and then I got another one that he came hard hitting on spiritual warfare. I know he threw a lot of, whoo, yeah, okay.
In a way, I think we give them a little bit too much credit. They haven't been able to crack everything. Certain aspects of knowledge you would have to have a soul in order to know, because everything is within us.
Okay, that's a good point.
Also, I mean, if it's spiritual warfare, why everybody keep coming with this fear tactics, talking about FEMA camps and this, that, or the other, and the whole thing about if the sun was gone. I mean, these spiritual beings might be gone, but it has nothing to do with us as those of us that have souls, because we existed in darkness before there was light.
Okay, that's a very good point. That's a good point.
I mean, I just don't get when people keep mixing the physical with the spiritual. It has to take place on the spiritual plane first before it can manifest on the physical.
That is true.
We know with the way things are going now, that they ain't manifesting nothing on the spiritual plane.
No, they can't.
They get their head to them.
Yeah, we pretty much blocked that. That is true.
I mean, he bring up some interesting points, but it sounds like a lot of his data is coming from the very people that he criticized and sit up and spew so much hatred toward. Scientists said, astrologers said. I mean, those are people with limited inner and overstanding. And the figures, I mean, how can they clock something that they can't see for real, for real?
Okay, that's a good point. That's a very good point. Brother Wendell, you have... Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother.
Demiurges are just thought forms. They can't harm us. That's why they get us to harm ourselves. That's why they get us to voluntarily keep incarnating. They get us to lower our own frequency. We're above them. They're able to whoop us because we lower ourselves to their frequency and try and battle them on their home field.
That's a good point.
I just think we give them a little bit too much power. I mean, everything begins with thoughts, and if we sit up there and think them to be more powerful than they are, that's giving them our energy.
That's a good point. Okay, Brother Wendell, you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I got a couple of things. First thing is, where the hell are they getting the technology to do these things?
Yep.
And the second thing is, that just shows that they're at the point of desperation so much and trying to find the soul. They reaching for as far as they can reach, but they still have to have some permission from somebody else. Period.
Right.
Exactly.
Right, and it ain't gonna happen.
It ain't going down.
Totally agree with you both. Now, my take on it was actually kind of both of you all's take together, because, you know, with this whole CERN thing, and anybody that's followed it, we've all seen a bunch of information out there about it, and it clearly shows that they are trying to manipulate that spiritual realm and pretty much make things manifest in the physical. Okay, so I just talked about earlier how the original primordial beings, which is us, if you say you have a soul and if you say you are who you say you are, then that is you. You rule that realm, okay? So they're literally trying to mimic what you already, as Brother Sean said, have within you. Now, I do believe that they have taken a lot of our sciences, whether that be what the ancestors left behind from a metaphysics standpoint, whether that be those demigods in that spiritual realm that has given them information to manipulate things. And I do believe that they have brought things over from the spiritual realm into the physical, but the only reason they were able to fucking do it is because we allowed it. We were asleep. We gave up that power to let them do what they were doing, because we were so busy either calling on Jesus, either calling on Allah, either calling on Yahweh, calling on every motherfucker but yourself, and not being the guardian at the gate. That's how that shit was allowed to go on. Okay? So I totally agree with you both. But I don't see it as a doomsday whatsoever, because to me, it has already been shut down, because it is enough of us that got the connections and have gone on the spiritual realm side and shut that shit down. Okay, but that doesn't stop, as Brother Wendell said, the desperation. Okay, so I'm putting all of this out here for you all to enter and understand what the hell is going on. This is all spiritual warfare. They are trying to recreate what you already have in you. They smashing atoms together and shit and building $1 billion worth of machinery underground, when all it takes for you is a thought. Less than a second to create. So that's my 2 cents on that. But I did want to put that out there to you all to let you know what CERN is about, what they are attempting. But no, you as the primordial, original spiritual being, you shut all of that down by simply saying that it's shut down. You are the guardian of this realm, of this planet. You created that spiritual realm. So it is up to you to recognize who you are to make things put in motion. Okay.
Remember when Bobby at first became sick, and he said that he was calling on all those so-called gods and goddesses, and nobody helped him. And he figured out he just had to depend on himself.
Yep.
Now, what I'm thinking is maybe it's not their technology that has brought those other thought forms of demigods here. I mean, through this research that our people are doing, and we're calling out all these ancient names, these ancient frequencies, who's to say we're not bringing the quote-unquote bad guys from the past back?
Ooh, damn. Now that's deep.
Are people calling out all these names, making these altars?
Yeah, that's for real, because we don't have the true knowledge of who these entities actually are.
Mm-hmm.
And you ain't about to study for no 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 to 10 years and know these entities. That's impossible.
Right. That's damn. I didn't even think about that, Brother Sean.
And if you look at it, I mean, all throughout history, who was talked about? The elite, the ones that ruled over us.
Mm-hmm.
Not the benevolent beings, not the divine feminine. I mean, we're never talking about balanced energy because there's always haves and have-nots.
Yeah, that's deep. That's deep. And you know, that's why I keep screaming week after week after week after week after week, and I'm going to continue to scream week after week after week after week. You are your own savior. You're not supposed to be calling on any other entity. And if you are calling on entities, you better make damn sure you know what you are calling. It is for that very, very reason that the brother Sean just brought up. Very, very good reason. Now, Bobby Hemet, in a couple of his lectures, he has started to come to the realization that all of these particular spiritual systems, even the African spiritual systems, the Yoruba, that, you know, and the other ones, I'm not going to go through them. He said he came to the realization when one time he was meditating and connecting to spiritual realms that these particular entities that rule over those spirituality practices did not have the power. He was basically told by one of the entities that they were very weak. So meaning if you are practicing under that particular spirituality, he used the example of you would have to sacrifice so many chickens, and there's still no guarantee that you could make anything happen. And so he was saying that he came to the realization that we were moving into the age that us as the primordial old souls, you are more powerful than the demigod. So meaning, why the hell would you be calling on something to help you that you more powerful than? If anything, that's something that you're more powerful than wants to keep you down, because then you rule over it. So that's the age that we're in. So that's a very, very good point, Brother Sean. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to get into, I actually do have some Bobby Hemet. Now, Brother Bobby Hemet, he got a series out there, and damn, I forget the YouTube channel, but I promise you, if you put this in YouTube, you're going to bring up the whole series. He has 9 hours worth of YouTube video on the title is Spiritual Warfare and Physical Reality. Okay, so now I'm only going to play snippets from part 2 video. I have went through the whole 9 hours years ago, and putting together this show, I remembered some of this, and so I got just stuck on the second video, and I was able to chop that up. So if you want to get really deep into the spiritual warfare, physical reality, that's a very good video series to check out. Okay, so we're going to jump into that. Let me find part 1. And anybody else that want to join the conversation, press 1 to get in the queue. Nope, I don't see anybody else in the queue, so let's get started here. I have to scroll so much to find this. Okay, so again, this is Brother Bobby Hemet, and the name of this series of video is Spiritual Warfare and Physical Reality. I pulled a couple of snippets from this. I'm going to play the first one, and then we're going to come back and chop it up. Here we go.
Run around this motherfucker, but he don't run this shit. And that's what you got to understand right now. He don't run nothing. And everything is good. He don't run nothing. What you got to do is you got to get all of the goodness as children out of you in this particular aspect. All of your mores and all of your piety and things that you don't do. You know what I'm saying? Because you're good, honest, decent people. You got to wipe out all of that to become the gods and the monsters. Gods and monsters. Like I said, do you think Godzilla gives a damn whether you made your bed? Or whether you put coasters down for your glass of drink on your table? Or whether you took your shoes off in somebody's house? You think God's going to give a damn? Well, that's what you are, the monster of soul. When we get into this thing here, you got to become the monster. That's why when you see the monster, you scared, but you see the monster all the time. All kinds of beings and stuff. That is us. We've seen the enemy, and it is us. What's that for?
I was going to ask you, do you think all this moon stuff is just another Spielberg production?
Well, that's what I was saying. That's the whole concept. It was a Hollywood production that they faked in Hollywood. Now you say, well, what does this got to do with now? That's 1969. Because they knew once they faked that moon landing and you bought it, and they mean that you can get, they knew they can do anything to you.
They can move forward.
Right. Just like they faked that, just like they blew up their own building 2 years ago. They knew once they blew that building up, the 2 World Trade Centers, then anything they come and say terrorism, you're going to get down with it. You see what I'm saying? That means all of you all are vulnerable if they want to call you terrorists, except me. They ain't fucking with me now. You see, I get kind of sad because motherfucker didn't left me alone. I be like, damn, I want to get into some action. You know, they come after Dr. York. Right. This asshole going to admit to some stuff. He's a government agent anyway. And I'm glad that any people in the East will follow Dr. York. I'm glad now. I want to know now about your Messiah. He's supposed to be the man of God, the Messiah, and yet he locked up and can't get out of a damn jail. You see what I'm saying? See, I'm telling you. They know who to left them. I'll be in my house kind of sad. You got Peter left out. They done killed Carlet. Yep. They done got Yahweh and Yahweh. They done got H. Brown. I'll be like, damn, man, when I'm going to get some action. Motherfuckers gonna come against me. You see what I'm saying? When they gonna come against me, because they know I deal with all things dark and deadly. So they don't leave me alone. Listen, we gonna leave that nigga there alone. I already know right now, I can go kill your boy, and you go down to the police station. When they find out who it is, they go, well, ain't nothing we can do about that shit. Now, I know this thing here because I realized my ex-girlfriend, Ginger, put my phone in her brother's name. You know how they put the phone in the brother's name. Right. The nigga from the Nation of Islam ran my phone bill up in '93. You know. So put the phone in her brother's name. So she called me back and said, well, my brother might be coming to school down in Atlanta So you need to get the phone out. I said, okay, no, I'll get the phone out of his name. So now, we got some credit. It checked out. You know what I'm saying? Somebody's social security number, whatever. Shit checked out. I get the phone. Then they come and say, yo, we can't put the phone in your name right now. Something about your mind. And we're trying to figure this out. Well, what is it? It was in the name of two days ago.
Tap it.
Huh? Yeah. What is it? And I realized what it is. They got to wait until they get the right person to come there and bug the place to put the new phone number up in there.
Right. Because it's in your name.
You see what I'm saying? So it was bugged. You see what I'm saying? So my point is, and they got to go get the right person to do that. So my point here is, they're not messing with people who ain't scared, and people who not scared of the spirit world. That's right. And so they're messing with the religious folks. Mm-hmm. You people that think there's boundaries and limitations on what you can do.
Got your ass.
You see what I'm saying? Oh, I ain't messing with that. That's evil. No, the cracker is evil.
You a slave.
You know what I'm saying? This man is diabolical. All right, messing with him. You scared of everything but him. You turn your children over to him every morning. You go to live in his hospitals and turn your life over to him. And don't think it's valid when a black person tells you, hey man, you shouldn't go to the cracker. But yet everything else in the spirit world is evil. You know what I'm saying?
You're black.
You see what I'm saying? And you know, so the point I'm trying to make here is, I want some action. I want some action. I'm like, y'all come on with it. I'm kind of lonely over this one. But I'm like, let's get down. Let's get down. It's time to get down. It's time to show. And I'm not talking no junk. I'm telling you what time it is. They ain't messing with people they ain't messing with people. They only fucking with you religious folks. Lining up with Allah and Jesus. They're going to get you killed. Once you say, I'm with Allah, see what about them Arabs? They done blew a little Allah man whole. They had a little ball over there. They blew his arms off. He ain't even had no arms. Well, in the name of Allah, they killed damn Arabs wholesaling in the name of Allah and Africans.
Yes, sir.
God is an absentee landlord. Yes, they done killed 35 million Africans with AIDS to 40 million. So the American black population is over here. They done killed with AIDS, and you still talking about my God. Your God is an absentee landlord. You better understand what time it is if you're not God. What's that?
He ain't no black man.
Colin Powell is a government agent.
He no black man. He got no black man.
Why is he allowing it?
He following orders.
He ain't being used. He down with the thing. But I'm going to let you in on this little secret right here, too. Now, y'all mark my word with this, because you got to understand science. Colin Powell, Condoleezza Rice, Kofi Annan, they're the ones that's running the actual government. Look. They're the ones that's running the government. It's like a ghost government. Right. You have, it's players. It's like a chess game. Now, we know that you got 5 million people that run the world, which is the secret societies. The person that they put out front is George Bush, but in actuality, the people who actually have the skills to run the government is Condoleezza Rice, which ain't no slowly. This is a Russian scholar. Right. Got a whole ship named after her.
The Condoleezza.
It's a Condoleezza, whatever.
Something like that.
Condoleezza, whatever.
They're gonna let these niggas do this.
And then you got, what's his name? He's the one that's all the diplomacy.
Kofi.
Secretary of State, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Colin Powell. Then you got Kofi Annan, and then you got this Brooks. So the whole face of the government is actually out front is all black. They showed a picture in the New York Times, and I didn't bring it. They got a picture of Condoleezza Rice standing up in the White House like this. And George Bush is at the desk like the secretary. This is a whole game they playing. They put it in a movie called Deterrence. Write it down. Deterrence, 1999, Kevin Pollak and Cheryl Lee Ralph. Deterrence, 1999, Kevin Pollak is the star and Cheryl Lee Ralph. Kevin Pollak is playing Bush. Cheryl Lee Ralph is playing Condoleezza Rice. In the movie, this is 1999. Now, he didn't get elected until November of 2000. He didn't become president until 2001. What is it that they have a movie about a man who gets appointed president because he didn't win the election, just like Bush did? So Kevin Pollak plays the president who gets appointed. So to show his muscles, he goes and picks a fight with Saddam Hussein's son and is going to drop a bomb on Iraq. And Condoleezza Rice is right up under him. And she's actually telling him what to do to keep his image, to keep his stuff flowing the right way. But and then France in the movie opposes the war. And then France also gives Iraq bombs. Now all this stuff they have. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's a movie about the Iraqi war, and all of this just went down the last 2 months. Came out in '99. If you don't understand, and this is 2003, and it's called Deterrence. And at the end of the movie, he turns to Cheryl Lee Ralph, who is Condoleezza Rice, and he says, "I leave it all up to you. I'm retiring." You see? And that's why she's the one that's running the actual White House. It's a spirit thing that's going on. It's like when our God come to kill you, when our God come to kill them, because you up in the way, kill you too. Or they shield themselves, because the devil always knows what's going on before the righteous, so-called. Because that's the problem. You too fucking righteous. You see?
Okay, family. So that was part one of Brother Bobby Hemet's series. It's out on YouTube called Spiritual Warfare and Physical Reality. So before I put something on it, Brother Shiner, Brother Wendell, do you have anything you want to put on that?
No, other than I remember that one.
Yeah, that was a good series. It's 9 hours, but it's well worth it. Even if you take one a day, it's definitely well worth it. Now, what I liked about it, we kind of got to it before this video, but he made it very clear in the grand scheme of things. He said it in a different way. He said that, they're not running anything. So meaning they're only doing what we are allowing them to do. Because again, we are the guardians of this galaxy. We're the ones with the ultimate power. But, if we're still asleep, calling on demigods, on Jesus, Allah, and them, and afraid to tap into true spiritual power, that's what you're particularly going to get. So I'm going to go ahead and go into part two of this. If anybody else want to put something on it, press 1 to get in the queue. But I'm going to go into part 2. I don't see anybody in the queue at this moment. So where are we at? I wish this stuff would line up. Blue, 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 blue. Here we go.
Voted for Colorado, Michael Moore. Yeah, what's that, sister? Yeah, we're gonna break that down in a few minutes. In order to do that, I got to go into the whole elaborate scheme of that in the lecture, which I'm getting ready to start in a few minutes. Give me some more questions.
There's a massive assault for Detroit. Yeah.
Huh?
There's a massive assault for Detroit going on. As far as all these barbarians trying to come here. What's the reason?
To my whites?
Yeah.
Coming in the city? Yeah. That's all over the country. In Atlanta, it's the same thing. They're just taking back their city. There was a white man wrote a book on Detroit. They say they worked on this for 70 years to repopulate the inner city with white folks. And so the reason why your streets and all is messed up, that's for a reason. Bring the property value down. It's a whole concept, But the whole thing is a relocation plan. They're doing it all over the country. I went to Milwaukee.
That's what I'm saying. Spiritually, they're moving back toward that. It's a reason why.
Huh?
Is there a reason why spiritually why they're moving back toward that urban area? It's got to be because they don't just do something all together at once.
Well, it's interesting you said that because in Atlanta, every time it floods, it don't never hit the ghetto. You know all this stuff here, and I think about it, you go to all these, I have the option, I have the luxury of traveling all over the country. Since when did any major catastrophe hit the projects? Don't ever hit the projects. Ain't that something? They say that the reason why California hadn't fallen into the ocean, because they got enough niggas out there to keep it up. If it was all white, it would have been falling into the ocean. Don't you know that most of the major catastrophes don't hit the urban centers in America?
Right.
We don't ever get, nothing never hit the ghetto. We got a place, we got the West End in Atlanta, well, you know, the black area, and every time it can just have if it rains over an hour, crackers is floating down the river. But I've been in Atlanta for 16 years, and ain't nothing never hit the ghetto. So, that is because of our energy holding up shit.
Right.
Because we live in some of the worst areas on the grid lines. You see what I'm saying? They move us to the stuff that has the lowest amount of frequency of energy. But we don't need it because we're an energy source. You see what I'm saying? Because we're an energy source. So that's what's happening and stuff. So it seems to me it would be feasible to move because they're not because they're moving a certain population of the black people out, but the ones that was able to sustain themselves, the whites are moving next to you.
Yeah. Right.
You see? And this is going on all over the country. All over the doggone country. You see them? What's that? Hurricane Andrew, the one that hit Charleston, South Carolina. No, Charleston, South, I think it was spirit. Remember now, a lot of those hurricanes are coming from the Middle Passage. They're coming off the Atlantic Ocean in the Middle Passage. Now, Charleston, South Carolina has a big slave port, one of the most notorious slave ports in the country. You know, South Carolina had more blacks than any state. I mean, they had literally thousands of blacks hitting the coast. You see what I'm saying? And it's still in the Stone Ages and stuff to this day. You see what I'm saying? It is the most progressive of between Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana. South Carolina is the most progressive. You get a lot of people come out of South Carolina because the Congo was dropped there. You know, Jesse Jackson, for what it's worth, is from South Carolina. What it's worth. You got a lot of, but that's on one particular aspect. Even James Brown was born in Barnwell, South Carolina. You see what I'm saying? Wesley Snipes. A lot of people got a lot of, so when it hit there, that was some energy that actually happened based on that hurricane thing that happened with, what you call it. Let me give you another science on how things are happening since he got on that. In the, what was that, the 1950s? When did Charles Drew die in North Carolina? Was it the 40s or the 50s? In the 50s, Charles Drew, who was a person who invented blood plasma and blood transfusion and all that, died from in North Carolina because what? He got in a car wreck and they wouldn't give him blood. Let me show you how the spirit works. So the scene shifts to right after Christmas. Duke University in North Carolina ends up giving a little Asian girl the wrong blood. And to bring down the whole fucking hospital is under scrutiny because they gave the girl the wrong blood transfusion in North Carolina, and Duke being the top school in North Carolina. You see how the spirit works? So they denied Charles Drew, and as a result, here goes some of the top doctors in the world couldn't get a simple blood transfusion and gave the girl that was a heart transplant or something, and lung transplant or something, give her the wrong blood, and the girl died. That's spirit. That's Charles Drew energy coming back. North Carolina, he died based on not getting blood. She dies based on the blood not given the right way. You see what I'm saying? In North Carolina at the top university. That's how the spirit works. That's the ancestral thing that's going down. We're gonna get into in a few minutes. Give me two more questions. We're gonna go into into the lecture. Give me some more questions. What's that, sister? Then you go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know that it had cut off. Okay, family. So again, Bobby Hemet was trying to, in that particular clip, put into content on, and we talked about that earlier, how things happen in the spiritual realm that are brought into the physical. Particularly, I love how he was breaking down the real reason that we are having so much gentrification. And I had forgot he even said that, because I had this conversation with someone, because any one of us that live in any major city, it's pretty much either has happened or it's in the process of happening. And so I was talking to one person about it, and I said that I thought that it was a energy thing, that, you know, because you have the melanated folks in one concentrated area, that's a lot of energy there. And not only that, it's powerful energy. And it is said that some of our major cities in this nation are laid out on some important ley lines. So ley lines or portals, okay? So I've always thought that that is why melanated people are in these particular, what they're calling, quote, quote, the inner city, because they're the energy source, and we're supposed to be the guardians. We're guardians of this planet, this plane, and of this universe, okay? So therefore, the other, like suburbs and places that the melanated folks aren't, there isn't as much energy. So what keeps happening, why you keep seeing the shifting of people coming from the inner city to the suburbs and vice versa, is subconsciously, or from the spiritual side, it is those beings seeking out that higher energy. So that's a reason why, from a spiritual perspective, that you have folks moving back into the inner city. It is a spiritual energy thing. Now, what I forgot about until Bobby Hemet reminded me in this video is the natural catastrophes, because he's absolutely right. With the exception of Hurricane Katrina, and I believe that shit was government enforced, because I know somebody personally that heard the damn bombs go off at the levees when the water rushed in. But other than that, in the melanated neighborhoods, he's right. We don't get these grand catastrophes. And especially, I mean, Brother Wendell, you're in Atlanta. I've lived in Atlanta for 15 years, and I go back and forth between. Remember, okay, I'm going to really have you cracking up, Brother Wendell. Remember when Prez O was running for president, and Jeremiah Wright, they was pulling up his old sermons, and he was condemning America, and he said, they say God bless America, and I say God damn America. Remember, they pulled that video out. They asked to try to shame Prez O for being in this racist church, this, that, and the third. Now, CNN's ass, CNN is headquartered in Atlanta, downtown, heart of downtown, kept playing this goddamn video. Kept playing over and over on the top of the hour. I bullshit you not. A hurricane came through at the heart of downtown. And that damn hurricane, now anybody that lives in Atlanta, you know what I'm talking about. Certain parts of downtown, for the most part, are melanated, heavily melanated. It's starting to change now, but still, you still have blocks that are melanated, blocks that are not melanated, and Brother Wendell can attest to this. That damn hurricane came through downtown Atlanta, and it picked what the hell it wanted to tear down. It rattled the roof of the Georgia Dome. It was the March Madness shit going on. Tore up the Westin Hotel. Tore up a new condominium building that they had built up and had regentrified. So my point being, that hurricane knew exactly what the hell it wanted to touch, but did not touch down on the melanated neighborhood. So that's what also reminded me, Brother Bobby Hemet just reminded me of how our energy centers, us as melanated people, the energy that we have and that we generate, and how we are connected to the spirit realm. We rule the spirit realm, and how powerful we are. So I'll stop there in case y'all want to put something else on it. If not, we shall continue on.
That's different.
There's an aspect that I think is more important than any other piece, is that if not all of these major cities, the majority of them are built on top of the old city.
Damn.
That's the real energy there. Now, can you imagine? Now, can you imagine how many burial sites that they built on top of?
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point.
That's the true energy right there. They're sitting on top of the energy, drawing it.
That's a good point.
But it's also why they got all these cell phone towers and whatnot emitting elf wave stuff to keep us from tapping into it.
That's true, and especially in the melanated neighborhoods, they put those things. And I never forget when I was looking for a house in the city of Atlanta, and it was a nice house. I could have got it for dirt cheap and a lot of land, but right in the damn backyard was a cell phone tower. And I looked at that lady. I said, "You got to be shitting me. You think I want this?" Well, look at I said, "Lady, I don't give a goddamn. No, I'm not interested." So very, very good point on that. And all of those elf waves, that is the lowest energy form, an energy form that we are not supposed to be using, but the reason that it has been instilled, and do a little research, and you'll know the story of Tesla and Edison, and they picked Edison's technology over Tesla because Tesla wanted to tap in to the natural mama planet Earth's energy versus Edison using the lowest level form. Okay, so the story that the reason they say they chose Edison's quote, quote, inventions over Tesla's because it was money, because Tesla felt that energy is free. The planet, the universe creates it. We just tap into it, and that's that. Therefore, the public shouldn't be charged for it because we cannot charge for nature. So the story is because Edison and them felt they can monetize off of electricity, that's why we have electricity. That's the bullshit story that they give you. The real reason is from a spiritual perspective, those elf waves can keep putting out those pulses to keep your frequency lowered, to tamper with your frequency. Now, of course, if you know what's going on, your pineal gland is not calcified, you are a God, you are a higher being, you can rise above that and shut it down. But because most of the planet, and not just melanated people in general, most of the planet is sleeping, they're not even realizing that their frequency is purposely being kept low. So So that's a very good point also, Brother Sean.
Oh, but also, like how you were saying about Atlanta, that recent storm down in New Orleans was the same way. I mean, after Hurricane Katrina, they put whites in a lot of those neighborhoods. A lot of those neighborhoods that was all black, now all of a sudden is all Caucasian. And the reason they were so quick trying to get help down there this time is because those were Caucasian neighborhoods being hit.
Well, that's interesting. Now, damn, you brings up a very good point. Let's think about that for a second. Now, the first time when Katrina came through, I say it was bullshit. It was clearly manufactured, man-made. You know, New Orleans, anybody that knows just a little bit snippet of New Orleans, know from a spiritual realm, they're really no joke. And you still have a lot of people in New Orleans that do stuff behind the scenes that'll jump some shit off. I've been to New Orleans a few times, and you could feel that energy. It ain't no joke, okay? So, you know, they wanted to bust up some of the people out of there to move their own in there, okay? So that's what Hurricane Katrina was about to me, okay? Then I know someone that's a native of New Orleans that pointed me to a documentary, and basically this documentary, I think it's on PBS, it shows how the government would flood that area in New Orleans when they damn well felt like it. They would purposely flood that area. Okay, so that Katrina shit ain't nothing new. They would always flood that area with the melanated people, the poor people there. Okay, so that's what Katrina was about. Now, I had totally forgot this new storm that came through. They had started gentrifying these neighborhoods. That's interesting. So the spirit world said, God damn it, you won't live in peace. That's very interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead on, Brother Wendell.
Did New Orleans have a tornado a couple months ago?
I think they had two storms, a flooding and a tornado.
One of them was a tornado.
Yeah, you're right.
But hold on a minute, though. Tornado season is a long way off.
Oh, shit. Yeah, it really is. That's a good point. And the fact that they sit below the sea level, right?
Yeah,
don't they?
It's sitting in the bowl. It's sitting in the bowl.
Sitting in the bowl, right.
Yeah. They try to get, I remember when I was in New Orleans, they tried to get me to stay there and work, and I said, oh, no, y'all got to be insane. I ain't going to be able to do that one, Chief.
Yeah, New Orleans is, and I like New Orleans. The people of New Orleans are some beautiful people. I always have a good time when I go there. Matter of fact, I haven't been in a minute. I'm gonna have to make a little visit there. But if you're in tune with that spiritual side, I'm gonna tell you, New Orleans ain't no joke. You can walk in certain areas and chills will run down your spine because you can feel the energy level. Plus, not to mention, you still have a lot of people practicing a lot of different spiritualities, voodoo, doing a lot of rituals. So you can really, really feel that energy in New Orleans from a spiritual perspective. Absolutely. Okay. All right. So we're going to get into part 2 of Brother Bobby Hemet. And again, this video is called Spiritual Warfare and Physical Reality. Damn it. Where's part 2? Okay, this one is only going to be 6 minutes, and then we're going to stop and chop it up about this clip. Here we go.
Bullet for Columbine, Michael Moore. Yeah, what's that, sister? Yeah, we're going to break that down in a few minutes. In order to do that, I got to go into the whole elaborate scheme of that in the lecture, which I'm getting ready to start in a few minutes. Give me some more questions.
There's a massive assault for Detroit. Yeah.
Huh?
There's a massive assault for Detroit going on. As far as all these barbarians trying to come here. What's the reason?
To my whites?
Yeah.
Coming in the city? Yeah. That's all.
Okay, I think we probably listened to that. How the hell did that get uploaded again? Okay, my bad, family. Let me get to P3. Okay, here we go.
It could relegate itself to the higher dimensions, or what they call the heavens.
Okay, now they fucking with me. That ain't the right one. Let me try this again.
It could relegate itself to the higher dimension.
Okay, that's not the one.
Not these black people here. Shit. Plus, I'll be honest with you. Let me tell you something. As far as I'm concerned, you can have that damn country. I grew up in the South. I don't even like grass. Fuck dumb shit. Then if I'm gonna milk some cows, plant some corn, all that shit, I don't blame you. Send me to a goddamn supermarket. You know, we always say that, return to the land and all this kind of thing here on, I know that. But see, we're going to be victims of thinking logic. You must not accept what your brain gives you with logic and common sense. This is how you're going to override and go to another level. You understand what I'm saying? You know, it's like sex. You know, if I take a paddle and paddle you on the ass right now, you wouldn't like that. But in the sexual aspect, that might be an attribute to some of you sisters. You'd be like, it ain't going hard enough. Now, what am I talking about? I'm talking metaphysics. You have to stop being human. So it's logical for you to grow food, and we've been hearing this shit for 10 years. Or we're going to turn to the earth. Damn all of that. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. We have to go to another level. We got to think outside of the environment. We have to think outside of what your brain is programmed. You got to get a new program. You see what I'm saying? So, the key why I'm saying that is this particular thing here. We don't need to be around anything that takes you out of the center of knowledge. If you go into the country, means you're going to be cut off from the information. This is the age of information and knowledge and how to get knowledge. You see what I'm saying? That is the reason why you are more advanced than the people from Mississippi. That is the reason why New York is the most conscious place on the planet. You see what I'm saying? You see, so we talk about information. Now you're going way out there and stuff with some corn and some weeds and all that stuff. Well, you might live a happy life and all, but you're not going to know nothing when it comes to becoming a god. Because you cut yourself off from the centers of learning. And that's what this thing is about right now. We got to learn how to override all this type of stuff. We're not going back to what we came from. We are going away, and we're getting ready to destroy the known universe. You see, so we're not returning to shit. We can't return to nothing because we are a new entity. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. We're going to something else. You see, we're not returning to no hunting and gathering in no border, in no Egypt, in no Africa, in no beating no drums. We ain't doing none of that. We are going beyond what the scriptures say. We're coming forth by day. Yes. We're going beyond humanity. Humanity is the enemy. See, this is a new paradigm. I ain't going to give you nothing. You see what I'm saying? No, I ain't supporting life. Fuck life. Supporting death. Life is the enemy. Now, you might think that's some crazy stuff. But what I'm dealing with the alchemical principles of change. The book of changes. Chaos, which is your melody. Chaos is disorganized force where change is supreme. You don't get this, you don't get it. That is the flow of the universe. Change is supreme. So we're not going back to that. I know we on the back to Africa movement, we did all this kind of thing, and why things haven't worked, why things don't work for us. They don't supposed to work for us. The sister was concerned about what's going on. All that shit is good. The more mayhem we got, the more things are changing. I'm going ahead of myself. You see what I'm saying? Now, please, don't say that nigga crazy and don't ask me the question to clarify what I'm talking about. You see what I'm saying? Her and then you, what's that from? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Uh-huh. The last comet that came in February, 2 times larger than Jupiter. Yes.
It's carrying nickel and iron.
Uh-huh.
So therefore, that is what is going to bring the consciousness. So it doesn't matter.
Yes. What we're talking about here is cosmic. The comet just came. They kept that. Now the Hale-Bopp comet came in '97, and they plastered that one up. This one here they kept quiet. Came in when it was January or February. February. And this particular one, they're keeping quiet. Everything that is in the universe is inside of your body. So the comet coming is like your soul coming. Coming forth by day. And these are harbingers of energies that's inside of you. As above, so below. As within, so without. As on in the bottom, as up under, as up on top. So it's comet, all this is a connection. You see, all this is a connection. What we're dealing with here is the new paradigm. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not going to give you all the stuff and all of how to improve your life. You see what I'm saying? That's not what this shit is about. It ain't about life improvement. You see what I'm saying? I give a damn whatever to do. I mean, if you take a clothespin and put on your ass, do it. Anything out of the ordinary. But this ain't no shepherds and stuff, and this ain't no damn Hebrew 101. This is advanced God school, and we can teach you how the gods behave, because that's how you're supposed to be behaving. You know what I'm saying? You know. So now, because we're not talking about piety. You said, well, what is this? Well, this guy is talking about breaking all the rules. No, what I'm trying to tell you here is we had a certain cycle of thousands of years that we had to build laws and mores and stuff to keep us in that particular cycle so we can survive within the context of humanity. What we're talking about here is the ending of humanity and the destruction of the known universe. So therefore, those things don't apply to you no more. You know what I'm saying? So you can gossip about people, you can talk shit. You do what the hell you want to do. You got the right to behave like a lunatic. Anything you want to do, that's what you're supposed to do, because you're breaking down the fabric of the matrix. That's what I'm talking about. What other question? What other brother had the question? Okay, what's that? Yeah.
Could you give us a comparison of fear and our perception of death in the old and in the new paradigm?
In the ancient world, they used to teach a person all the great neat things about death. And they had a complete understanding about death. So when it came, they looked forward to the day that they could get the hell up out of here. You understand what I'm saying? The Western man feared death, so therefore you don't want to die. And therefore that's what the fear is. You understand what I'm saying? That's what the fear is. You know, you don't want to die. I want to ask you something. Do you see the dead trying to knock down the door to get back up in here? Think about it now. People love you, I love you, I love you. But when they die, they ain't trying to get back up in here. Fucker don't want to come back up in here. You know what I'm saying? So the whole concept here is a Western concept of the fear of death. There's a book called Through the Gates of Death by Dion Fortune. Through the Gates of Death by Dion Fortune. In her first chapter, she talks about how the Western man, which is the European man, his greatest concept is he didn't understand death and he feared death. Didn't understand death and he feared death. So give me one more question so we can go in. What's that?
Pause for a second. Got to change his tape.
Well, he changed tape. We're going to go on into the next. Dion Fortune. All right. Okay. She asked a question about the space shuttle. When Democrats said something about the Russians blowing it up, what I got on the spirit realm is the spirits blew it up. Because they don't run space. You see what I'm saying? That's why they couldn't go to no damn moon. The moon is sacred. That's the home of the goddess. They couldn't go to no moon. You know, that's like going to heaven. They don't run nothing. And what they had the Jew in there, and they had all this little thing here. Every time they had that old multicultural shit, got the black man, they got the Jew. And isn't it ironic that the last one went down was a black man on it? Yeah. But the point I'm trying to make, this one here, the spirits blew it up. Right. To let them know, because they was, you know, because they're arrogant. And they think that they can run every damn thing. And so let them know that they ain't in charge. They blew that up. You see what I'm saying? You know, so that's what we got from the spirit realm. So because we check things on both realms. And on the spirit realm, they say they blew it up. They say they blew it up. Any more questions before I go into the lecture? You what's that, brother?
I was wondering if you heard anything about barricades around the pyramids that they found something?
They've been digging and stuff. Ain't nothing to really be found. They've been talking about Hall of Records. They've been digging in the pyramids and they've been digging stuff and all. Most of the stuff is not to be found because most of the stuff is in the human aspect of things. Remember I saw the movie The Jewel of the Nile, 1985. They was looking for a jewel, and the jewel was actually a person, a human. So there's really nothing to be found. The thing about it here is the book stops with us. So whatever the deal is, they've been barricading things off for years and stuff like that and all that, and trying to save themselves by trying to get some type of information. They got all the information in the world. They know what time it is, but they know they can't do nothing about it. They have a standstill. So yeah, they've been doing that with the pyramids and things for the longest, and all. But they can't find nothing because they know what is to find is in the Western Hemisphere. So they fought that war looking for a Stargate. And they go in there, but the Stargate is here. You see, but they fought the war, and there is a Stargate, and there was some energy, and they just made things worse for themselves because they lost that on the spirit realm. I'm gonna get into that when we go into the war thing. What's that?
They talk about that in the right?
Yes. Yes, they do. No, Iraq. There was some stuff in Iraq that was legitimate. They had to go in there and they had to get. Number one, it was going also after the goddess Astarte, which is a form of Isis, which is a form of Lilith, which is a form of, she's actually Oshun, and a couple other things that's going after that. And they had to go up in there at this particular time. But ultimately, and there was a porthole, going to go into that. And there was some energy over there. And they fought to try to contain that energy. It's all also in the movie Core. Go see the movie Core. When we go into this thing, we're going to deal with that. And so they did go to a vortex, a Stargate. But ultimately, the Stargate is here. So now, no matter what they do, it's still here. But they did go to an actual Stargate. What's that, sister?
You know, you told us to look at dark crystals.
Yes.
And I just wonder if there are things.
All right, family. So that's all I could get out of that one. And unfortunately, I don't know what happened to the other part. So again, that is Spiritual Warfare and Physical Reality. There are 9 parts to that particular series with Brother Bobby Hemet. Each video is about an hour apiece. I urge you to go and listen to the whole series. He drops a lot of knowledge about truly what spiritual warfare is and how we as the powerful melanated beings are supposed to be participating in it. So before I go in on that video, Brother Sean or Brother Wendell, did you all have anything you wanted to put on it? Excuse me.
No, keep it rolling.
I wanted to put a little something on it. The part where he was talking about destruction. I mean, our people sit up and say that they're tired of the old way. The old way has to be destroyed in order to usher in a new way. But as he said, we fear it. We are the chaos beings, and we fear who we are because we've been taught a backwards version of who and what we are.
Absolutely. And I knew you was going to go there, but go ahead.
And then another thing, as far as for when he mentioned about them not being able to go to the moon, it brought to mind to me the sister and the mile-long ship that they allegedly found on the moon. I believe they found that in Antarctica. That's the reason why they don't want nobody over there. They ain't been to the moon, so they ain't found her on the moon. And then just looking at the pristine condition of her body, it had to have been frozen.
Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting about that on the moon. I'm glad that you brought up the point about him talking about us as melanated people being worried and concerned about destruction and really not entering understanding what is going on. And just real quick announcement for those of you that are in the chat room, we have 10 minutes. We're going to go into overtime. So if you want to continue to join us, dial 929-477-3858, and I'll plop this number in the chat room in just a second as well. But yeah, so us as melanated people being afraid of the destruction, and again, that's still thinking from a physical aspect. So again, if you are who you say you are, if you have a soul, so meaning you come from the most powerful force, the oldest force in the in not even the universe, just the oldest force there is, the all in all, that means you defied the physical. Hell, you helped create the physical. So the trap that we have been led to is trying to defeat the physical, or trying to fight the demigods on the physical realm, when really all along we were supposed to be rising above, kicking their ass, putting them in their place, telling them this the way it's going to fucking be in the spiritual realm. You are supposed to be the creator of the physical, but you don't know how you're doing it. You're not how you are to do that. You're not using that power. Instead, like Brother Sean indicated earlier throughout the show, we're being so caught up and concerned, well, they got this. They going to put you in this camp. They going to do this to you. They going to zap you with that. Instead of saying, well, this is how this story is going to end. You are supposed to be a creator. You are supposed to know that you have the power to put things in place. And if you want to blow this motherfucker up, if enough of us come together, we'll blow this motherfucker up. It wouldn't really even matter in the grand scheme of things because it's a matrix.
Mm-hmm.
You'll create another one. Or you'll go back to the source, chill a little bit, and still create another one. I personally believe that some of us have already created another one. But if you're still trapped in the matrix, feeling that you're powerless, then let the demigods keep ruling over you. Very good point that I want to make. Today, I'm sitting in the office. All of a sudden, I look out, and I see the chemtrail planes. I said, oh, no, not today, goddammit. And I've done this several times. I literally sat there, and I said, I want all of this sky cleared up. I want it vanished. So I put it out there, came out of that room, did some things, went back in the room for another meeting. Majority of that sky was clear.
Mm.
Got home, was driving home, sun shining bright in the motherfucker, sky blue cleared in the motherfucker. Started driving, saw some more, said the same thing. Kept driving, about 2 minutes later, sky started clearing up. Now, that's not the first time I've done it. When I used to take my walks, if I see them goddamn chemtrails, oh, not today, partner. This shit is being erased. So the point I'm trying to make, you are the creators. Nothing happens on this plane and on the spiritual plane unless you allow it to happen. If you take ownership and put it into existence, speak it into existence, think it into existence, it becomes. I know because I've done it. So that's the age that we are in. We have to start taking ownership of who you are and realize that everything begins with you. Stop calling on a deity. Stop thinking that a galactic is going to come save you. You are your motherfucking savior. You create your own reality. If you're tired of seeing chemtrails, goddammit, speak it into existence. Clear that motherfucking sky. You're tired of seeing it. You shut the shit down. So, with that said, I'll come off of my high horse. So, chat room, you have about 5 minutes. The call-in number for overtime is 929. I'm going to put it in here. 477-3858. Before we go into like the final topic, I want to put one more swing on this thing. Brother Wendell, Brother Sean, did you have anything else? Excuse me, you want to put on it?
Going back to when he said that the demigods are weak. That reminded me of Clash of the Titans when they were all having their little council meeting talking about how weak they were because the people weren't worshiping.
Believing in them. Yep. And that was the old ass one from the 80s, I think that you're talking about. Yep. That's exactly what happened.
Then they unleash this terror upon the earth, and then have Zeus as half sun, half man, another demiurge, save the people to restore their faith in the gods.
Right.
Like the scale tactics now. And then we're supposed to wait for the demiurge to come save us. And then we're supposed to praise him all over again.
Right. So, in other words, to get trapped back into the soul, poor baby, whoever coughing their little lungs out. So basically, to get trapped back in the same matrix, because the demigods then basically set up a motherfucking false flag for the people to start rebelieving in them, and all it is keeping you enslaved to worship them, to cipher your energy.
Exactly.
When you are more powerful than the demigods, all you have to do is think it into existence. Think it, speak it, write it. It's done. It's a done deal. When you're on the astral plane, you're supposed to be taking care of your motherfucking business. You either supposed to be training, learning, or kicking ass, bringing stuff into existence. That's what's supposed to be happening. You are the ruler. So very good point. Very good point, Brother Sean. Okay, so this next video, it kind of still, again, it gets a little bit back on the metaphysics side. And this is from Brother Pharaoh. So he is going to once again get into the metaphysics. The name of this one is Energy and Frequency War. So he's going to start to break down for you how the different levels of frequencies impact us, and how that is a full form of warfare. So anytime you hear about frequencies, that is all still on the spiritual realm, but yet it is connected to you physically as well. Because if you are vibrating at a high level, at a high level, then demigods, any other entity cannot overpower you because they cannot operate at that frequency level. Okay, we've talked about that many times on this show. We've been talking about that for years. So I also wanted to bring into play this particular video by Brother Pharaoh so we can also enter and understand how games are played from a spiritual perspective, spiritual warfare. If you're not aware of it, if you're not your own sovereign being and in control of your essence, the games that are